What's up, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Just a quick reminder that we're back live tonight at 8:30, pushing it back a half hour tonight, talking Jets for 2 hours, taking your phone calls. Again, we appreciate all the support during the live streams, and we definitely love the Tuesday nights, being able to interact and actually talk on the phone with everybody. And this show is going to be absolutely insane. I thought so after the 5th straight loss of the year, to the Cardinals, and then you get everything that's happened over the last 24 to 48 hours with LeVeon Bell, Adam Gase, the media still making every excuse possible for this guy. Now they're pushing LeVeon Bell out the door. And so that's where I wanted to just start really quick. You have Costello and all these other guys who we all know are mouthpieces for Adam Gase and the Jets organization, writing this bullshit spin that LeVeon Bell is now the problem. So again, let's break this down for how many guys have already been the problem that aren't Adam Gase so far, okay? You shipped out Jamal Adams. You said Robbie Anderson wasn't good enough. Now we're talking about drafting another quarterback. There's already all these rumors that, Jets are trying to potentially trade Sam Darnold, or they're going to trade him if they have the first overall pick. So another guy you didn't want. And now Le'Veon Bell. And to me, this one's about principle. This one's about a guy who was a legitimate all-pro talent, possibly on a track to the Hall of Fame, and Adam Gase has relegated him to absolutely nothing, to the point where we're talking about potentially eating money and accepting, what, a 5th or a 6th round draft pick at best to get this guy off your team? What does that tell you? And for Adam Gase to spit that bullshit that he did in the press conference yesterday, talking to the media, that, I wish guys would stop going to social media and talk to me about this stuff. Sam did that last year. You don't think Le'Veon Bell at some point, we know he's been frustrated since he became a New York Jet, since he put on that uniform, and Adam Gase has not been using him correctly. We've seen it a few times after games where he doesn't want to talk to the media. He likes certain things on social media. Same thing Jamal Adams did. And guess what? We all vilified him for it, and we shipped him out, and we said, bad Jamal, right? Now, it couldn't be any clearer now. He was right. He wanted nothing to do with this season, with this ownership group, with Adam Gase, a guy that has absolutely no respect at all in that locker room. Nobody respects him. Nobody cares about him. Nobody wants to play for him. And that's why players don't go to you dumbass. That is why. If players had any ounce of respect for you, if Le'Veon Bell had any ounce of respect for you, he goes to you about changing the play calls and how to best use him to match his production in Pittsburgh, where he was a Hall of Fame caliber player. If he had respect for you, he goes to you to talk to you about that. He has no respect for you. And it's not just him. It's every guy, or almost every guy, other than maybe, Frank Gore and Joe Flacco, that don't have any respect for Adam Gase. It is clear. So again, how many more players are we going to ship out to complete the Miami Dolphins model of getting rid of all their talented players just to leave things completely bare when they finally make a decision to fire him, which should have been done fucking weeks ago? You can't make it up at this point. And the one thing that is really starting to drive me nuts, as if all this other stuff isn't enough, the fact that everybody is still covering for Joe Douglas and how bad this offseason has been. It's not to say that, we're talking about firing him right now. I've said the only scenario in which I would fire Joe Douglas at the end of the year is if you have a legitimate, established head coach who wants full autonomy over the roster and being head coach. If that guy's available and you have a chance to get him, sorry, Joe, you haven't proved enough in this year and a half that you've been here, because the roster has gone backwards. You've taken talented players, talented young players, and shipped them out the door. And not just that, other veterans too are on good teams, starting offensive linemen, playing well. So what does that tell you? All right, Joe Douglas cannot have it both ways, where, he could put all these quotes out, you shouldn't be in this business unless you're trying to win a Super Bowl every year, touting all the talent on this team, touting his belief in Adam Gase. He can't put all these quotes out there when the results speak for themselves. You drafted one wide receiver. Your other best wide receiver you tried to replace with Brashad Perriman. It blew up in your face. Every move, almost every single move, other than probably George Fant in free agency and Becton in the draft, everything else has not worked out so far. Yes, it's still early. We're only 5 games into the year. I hate giving up on draft picks so early, but the early returns have not been good. So if your recipe for success is building through the draft, you haven't shown that you could do that. Finding quality free agents at a bargain price, we thought you did that with a few guys. It's not looking that way. All right, even guys like Jenkins and Poole, we were all thrilled that they came back at the value that they did. Even they have gone backwards. Everybody that has come back this year has gone backwards. So at what point does Joe Douglas start to receive a little bit of blame? Is he allowing this to happen? Is he cool with Gase coaching this team? Has he said anything to ownership about making a change? If he is about culture, to sit back and watch this bullshit go on, he loses all credibility. I totally understand if you want to start a rebuild your own way, bottom out to do it, but I'm sorry, when you have a quarterback in place, a young quarterback, part of the reason you said you took this job, and you have other young pieces in place, that's not the time to start your full-on rebuild. That's not the time to do it. And so essentially, if you didn't have enough belief in Adam Gase to invest money in him and go for it this year, then you basically are admitting that you're wasting the year and you're throwing away Sam Darnold for a chance, for the hope of getting Trevor Lawrence. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that Trevor Lawrence is coming to the Jets, that he's going to want to be a New York Jet, or that we'll even be picking first overall to get him. There are no guarantees with any of that. So to sit here right now and talk about trading LeVeon Bell for pennies on the dollar, talk about shipping out Sam Darnold, we're making all of these decisions based on what we've seen from them in an Adam Gase offense. So just think about that. You're making important personnel decisions that dictate your future based on a head coach that cannot coach, that cannot elevate anything around him at all. He has not shown any ability during his time with Miami or with the Jets. He has not shown that ability at all to elevate the pieces around him. Yet we're going to allow his 21 games to be what we decide to move on from Le'Veon Bell for. His 21 games are going to be what we decide to throw away Sam Darnold for. And again, really quickly on that topic, because I keep seeing this also, it's either, it's Trevor Lawrence versus Sam Darnold. No, that's not what it's about. It's not about Trevor Lawrence versus Sam Darnold. Trevor Lawrence could be a better quarterback than Sam. He could be a top 5 quarterback, sure. If Sam Darnold, let's say, is a top 10 quarterback or even a top 15 quarterback, and you can still get an additional, 2 first-rounders and more by moving back 2 or 3 spots and securing a number 1 wideout and more, what's a better foundation? Bringing Trevor Lawrence into the mess that, Darnold's working with now and maybe 1 or 2 extra pieces, or putting in place a legitimate foundation so that your quarterback can have a legitimate chance over the next 2 years. And if it's not him, it doesn't work out with him. We've talked about Mahomes and Watson and all these other guys, Carson Wentz, where teams had to trade first-round picks to move up and get their guy, and they were able to do it because they were in a position to win. Their team was ready to win. So when you're ready to win, you can make those trades. You can give up future first-round picks to go up and get your guy. But right now, we have nothing. So bringing Trevor Lawrence into nothing, is he going to change it? When he's sitting back there with Clemson, and he's got 5-6 seconds to throw the ball, and he's able to air it out deep, and he's got weapons that can catch it, he's not coming into that here. He's not. And we don't even know who the hell the head coach is going to be. Because who wants to take this job? Who wants to take this job with this ownership group? And let's be real, the questions about Joe Douglas, they're starting now, and they're legitimate, because he's done nothing. And that is why it was so important for him. I said weeks ago, it was so important for him to get out in front of this mess that he is partially responsible for and owning it and separating himself from the head coach that everyone knows is a laughingstock in this league. More double-digit losses than he does have wins. Every guy that leaves him, their career gets better. It can't be any more simple. Guys don't play for him. They don't play hard for him. They don't have any respect for him. Yet Joe Douglas is scared to make a move when Bill O'Brien, when the Falcons coach Dan Quinn, these guys, they've got division titles. Quinn's been to a Super Bowl. They can get fired mid-season. Yet Adam Gase can't, because the owner had to open his goddamn mouth and give him a vote of confidence after week 1. Because Chris Johnson had to give Adam Gase a vote of confidence after the first friggin' game, that made it so, you know what? We can't fire him. Now the owner looks like a jackass. Well, guess what? The owner looks like a jackass every time he speaks, no matter what he says. So who cares? There is nobody defending Gase because you can't defend him. You can't defend the results. You can't defend the lack of progress. You can't defend the quotes. The things that he says, the lack of explanation for certain play calls, you know, and not giving LeVeon Bell the ball, saying that he can't give Pirine the ball because, you know, LeVeon Bell, or not being able to throw the ball to LeVeon Bell because the opposing defense made adjustments. Where are your adjustments? And that's another thing. You're going to give up play calling now? What the fuck were you hired here for? You were hired here to call the plays, to elevate Sam, to be the offensive brilliant guy, the genius. That's why you were hired. And now you're thinking about giving up play calling? Listen, we know it should happen. We know you shouldn't be calling the plays. But that's why you were hired. That was your job, to call the plays. Innovative offense. Get the most out of Sam. Dude, talk to you guys later tonight. 8:30, 929-477-2651. Looking forward to it.